a storm is coming. You read the date A/20 October. Let your mind stop trying to pinpoint it on a weather map or a news scroll. That is the fundamental mistake we make, always looking out there for the great event, the great change, the great threat. But the storm that shakes the soul is never external. Never. It's a silent storm because the wind you hear and the rain you feel will be the turbulence inside your own chest. It is a moment of profound internal crisis, a massive, unavoidable shift that has been building in the quiet corners of your mind, like pressure building deep beneath the earth. This is the first, most crucial key point to understand. The silent storm is internal and inevitable. You live your life building structures of identity. This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is my comfort. You build walls of routine, walls of expectation, walls of distraction. You stack layer upon layer of business to keep the silence out. But the silence is where the truth waits. The safe 20th October date simply marks the moment when the pressure finally exceeds the strength of those walls. It is the day the truth becomes too loud to ignore. It is not an event happening as to you. It is a realization erupting from you. It is the moment when the self you have carefully curated shatters because it was always based on fragile external validation, not on robust internal reality. This storm is inevitable because outgrowth is violent as the seed must break open the shell to become a sprout. The chick must shatter the egg. A deeper version of yourself cannot emerge without first destroying the shallower version. You cannot hold on to what you are and become what you are meant to be. This internal confrontation is not punishment. It is purification. Thus, it is the necessary fire that burns away the illusions you cling to. Look closely at the dissatisfaction that nibbles at the edge of your day, the quiet anxiety that hums beneath your success, the feeling that you are living someone else's life. These are not flaws. They are early rumbles of the storm. They are the sole signal that your current container is too small, too rigid, and must be broken. On it says 20th October, or whenever your personal storm truly hits, you will face the uncomfortable questions you have successfully avoided. What if the values I live by are not my own? What if the peace I thought I had was just exhaustion? What if the fear of failure is simply the fear of being seen as I truly am? This shaking of the soul is the beginning of thus authentic self-growth. It forces you to drop the masks because they become too heavy to hold in the wind. It demands that you stop operating on autopilot. It is a call to assertive presence. You cannot ride out an external storm by ignoring it, and you certainly cannot survive an internal one by distracting yourself. The only way through is into it, to sit still in the eye of your own turbulence. This is the great teaching of the inner storm. You are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, and you are not your history. The storm comes to wash away everything you are not, so that what remains is unshakeable essence. The mind will panic, the emotions will surge, you will feel stripped bare, exposed, and vulnerable. Good. That vulnerability is the birthplace of as genuine strength as when you realize that everything external you relied upon for happiness or stability has failed to protect your inner world, you are finally driven to build the only fortress that matters, a quiet, disciplined mind. This internal crisis is not a setback. It is the most massive as catalyst for transformation a human being can experience. Embrace the date. Prepare the inside, for the real storm is already within. It will shake your soul, and when the dust settles, you will finally see what you truly are. The silent storm is internal, yes, you accept this. But the mind immediately asks then, how do I prepare? If the danger is inside, how do I build shelter? The answer is the second crucial key point, Hasana's focus on internal preparation. The 5 methods are your only true defense. On 20th of October, when the deep, silent pressures of life finally erupt, you cannot call for external aid. You cannot outsource your stability. The only thing that will stand firm is the inner architecture you have patiently and diligently constructed. This preparation is not a one-time event. It is as daily, conscious commitment to the 5 foundational practices that build an unshakable self. You spend your entire life strengthening the external, your body, your portfolio, your reputation. But when the soul is shaken, none of that matters. The true strength is in the SS unseen. The S5 methods are the pillars of this inner fortress. They are simple, direct, and you require nothing but your focused attention. The first method is S mindfulness of thoughts. This is the practice of simply seeing, not judging, not reacting, but observing the incoming waves of thought and emotion. Your mind is a noisy marketplace. Mindfulness is the practice of sitting in the center of that market, not engaging with any vendor, just watching the traffic. When the storm of 20 October hits, when fear, regret, or panic try to seize control, mindfulness is the quiet anchor that reminds you, I am the watcher, not the thing being watched. It creates distance between the self and the suffering. Without this distance, you are the storm. With it, you are the I. The second method is presence, ka to be, ita now. The mind constantly flees to the past, regret, guilt, or the future's anxiety, expectation. This scattering of energy is a profound weakness. True power is found only in the current moment. The storm will try to pull you into a cyclone of what if and if only. Presence is the single pointed will that refuses to budge. It is placing all your available energy into the exact action you are performing, whether it is breathing, walking, or facing a difficult conversation. Only a fully present self can absorb a dramatic shock without shattering. This is not meditation. This is living as if the third method is after balance. That's not just physical, but says a mental and emotional equilibrium. The mind naturally seeks extremes, absolute euphoria, or deep despair. Balance is the conscious choice to return to the center. It is the recognition that every gain has an equal loss, and every peak is followed by a valley. The storm on a 20 of October will involve intense emotional swings. Balance is the ability to feel the full intensity of the emotion, anger, sorrow, excitement, without allowing it to dictate your actions. It is the practice of finding the middle ground between tension and relaxation, between action and stillness. The fourth method is assess the simplicities. Look at your life. You are overburdened, overcommitted, overstimulated. This complexity creates enormous internal friction. Simplicity is the practice of vast, ruthless elimination of the non-essential in your possessions, in your commitments, and most importantly, in your thoughts. The less you have to manage externally, the more energy you have to manage the internal storm. When the soul is shaking, only the core remains. Simplicity is the stripping away of the surface to reveal the core before the storm does it violently for you. It is a preparation for survival. The fifth and final method is self-reflection. This is the moment-to-moment, day-by-day practice of holding a mirror to your own actions. Not self-criticism, but honest assessment. That's where did I lose my balance today? Where was my energy scattered? Did my actions align with my stated values? This practice is the constant fine-tuning of your inner instruments. It ensures that when 20th October arrives, you do not meet your crisis blindly. You already know your weak spots. You know your strengths. You have done your homework. These 5 methods, mindfulness, presence, balance, simplicity, and self-reflection, are not philosophies to debate. They are drills to execute. They are the tools for self-growth, and they are your only ticket to surviving the necessary, violent purification that is coming. Start today. Build your shelter now in the quiet, for the sadasa silent storm will test the foundation of your soul. The first point established the internal nature of the storm, the dramatic shaking that awaits on 20 October. The second provided the framework for preparation, the 5 methods. Now we turn to the source of power itself, the place where true resilience is forged. This is the third key point, FASAF, the power of stillness and simplicity. This is the source of true strength. Assessor, you believe strength is noise. You believe it is continuous motion, endless tasks, the aggressive assertion of the ego. This is a profound error. The ocean is powerful not when its surface is chaotic, but when its depth is still. The tree withstands the hurricane not through frantic movement, but by the immovable quiet of its root. When your inner storm arrives on SS 20th October, its defining characteristic will be as chaos. The mind will become a whirlwind of fear and analysis. The emotions will be a surging, destructive tide. If you meet chaos with more movement, you will be destroyed. Therefore, you must seek stillness. This is not laziness. This is not escape. Stillness is the highest form of disciplined action. It is the conscious, deliberate cessation of the external and internal noise so that you may hear the truth. The world shouts for your attention. Buy this, do this, be this. Every shout is a drain on your vital energy. Stillness is the act of closing the gates to the outside world, allowing your scattered energy to consolidate, to pool into a single, massive reservoir of internal power. This stillness must be married to a simplicity, whereas the human mind is choked by complexity. We live in a web of obligations, possessions, and desires. Each thread of that web is a point of vulnerability. When the great silent internal pressure mounts, when S28 October delivers its unavoidable shock, the complex life cracks easily. But the simple life, the life focused only on what is essential, is remarkably robust. Look at the basic tools, a hammer, a knife, a cup. They endure because their purpose is clear and their form is pure. Your life must become like the hammer. Clear, pure, no excess to be broken off. The practice of simplicity is not poverty. It is just as clarity. It is asking with relentless honesty, does this thought, this possession, this commitment serve my true growth, or does it merely add friction? Most of what you cling to is friction. Shed it. Reduce the external to create space for the internal. The stillness you cultivate becomes a vast, clear field where, for the first time, you can see the root causes of your own suffering rather than just reacting to the surface symptoms. This combination, stillness and simplicity, is what creates mental clarity. When the mind is quiet, the internal turbulence is visible, not immersive. You gain the power to observe the storm without being swept away by it. The emotion arises, say, intense fear on S20 October, and the quiet mind does not become the fear, it sees the fear. This is the crucial separation. This is the difference between being a victim of your experience and being the master of your awareness. This is the deeper, more dynamic definition of self-growth. It is not about acquiring new things or new titles. It is about the Sejjan uncovering the unshakable self that lies beneath the frantic activity. Seek out the simple space, the quiet breath, the single focused moment. These small acts of stillness and simplification are not passive retreats. They are acts of war against the chaos that seeks to govern you. They build a powerful internal gravity that keeps you centered when the whole world, your whole inner world, begins to spin. Begin now to consolidate your power. When the silent disruption comes, only the quiet mind will remain standing. You now understand that the storm is internal, that preparation is in the 5 methods, and that true power lies in stillness. But there remains a deep subconscious resistance. You fear the storm. You dread the date of 28th October. This fear is the final, most dangerous illusion. It must be broken. This brings us to the 4th essential key point. Sex confronting and embracing change. Welcome the inevitable difficulties. They are essential catalysts for personal evolution. Yes, Texas, you have been taught that peace means the absence of trouble. This is a fragile, conditional peace. It collapses the moment the first difficulty appears. The peace of the warrior, the peace of the realized self, is found within the trouble, not outside it. The silent storm, that deep, shaking crisis of identity, is not a curse sent to punish you. It is as violent, necessary gift sent to free you. The moment you realize the storm is inevitable, your entire perspective must shift. You must stop bracing against it and start leaning into it. Thus, every difficulty, every moment of profound discomfort on 20th October, every loss, every failure is not an obstacle to your growth. It is your growth. The seed does not fear the breaking of the shell, it embraces it, knowing that its potential cannot be realized while contained. You are the seed. The life you have built is the shell. The storm is the force that shatters it. If you cling to the old comfortable self, the self that is reactive, anxious, and defined by external measures, you will be ripped apart by the storm. Your soul will be shaken violently because you are fighting the tide of your own evolution. Embracing the storm means allowing that old self to be utterly dissolved. It is the conscious, willing surrender of what you thought you were in order to make way for what you truly are. This surrender is not defeat. It is the ultimate act of courage. Basa, the profound self-growth triggered by this internal crisis is rooted in S challenge. S, look at nature. The strongest diamonds are formed under the greatest pressure. The muscle only grows through resistance and tearing. Your spirit is no different. You remain soft and brittle in the absence of hardship. The storm is thus forging fire that hardens your spirit and tempers your mind. When the crisis hits, it forces you to access a deeper reservoir of strength, resilience, and clarity you never knew you possessed. On the day of the shock, be it the little October or the moment it arrives in your life, do not waste energy on lamentation or resistance. Use the energy of the difficulty itself. When the fear comes, observe it. Allow it to move through you without taking root. When the confusion comes, sit in the center of it with stillness. Use the difficulty as a second mirror to reflect your actual present level of discipline. If you panic, the mirror shows you lack presence. If you blame, the mirror shows you lack responsibility. The storm is not judging you. It is merely showing you the truth of your preparation. The highest teaching of this point is simple. Says, do not seek comfort. Seek transformation. Thus, the difficulty is the signal that transformation is now possible. The challenges of the internal storm are not there to hurt you, but has forced you into a deeper, more authentic existence. Thus, welcome the shaking. Welcome the chaos. It is the necessary preamble to the stillness that follows, a stillness built not on the absence of challenge, but on the profound wisdom gained from having weathered the greatest storm of all, the storm within the soul. This process is not gentle. It is dramatic. It is fluent. It is the essential path of self-growth. We have mapped the territory of the silent storm. We know it is internal, that the preparation lies in the 5 methods, that power is in stillness, and that the difficulty itself is the path. Now comes the final non-negotiable step, the point that binds all the others together and makes the survival of the soul possible. This is the 5th key point, says that taking responsibility for inner transformation. You must be the architect, not the victim of your own transformation. When the world is designed to encourage you to wait for a savior, wait for the government, wait for the teacher, wait for the perfect partner, wait for a miracle. This is the comfort of his passivities, and it is the guarantee of your suffering on Hesab, yours the 20th October. When that deep internal crisis strikes, no one outside of you can fix the structure inside your mind. The shaking of the soul is a personal journey that requires your total individual commitment. To take responsibility means to abandon the language of blame. It means eliminating the phrase, this happened, that to me. You must replace it with, this happened. How will I respond? The storm is coming. Yes, it will shake your soul. But the SaaS quality of that shaking, whether it is destructive or developmental, is entirely dependent on your response. If you meet the crisis with panic, distraction, and the search for external relief, you are simply escalating the chaos. You become the victim. But if you meet the crisis with disciplined presences, if you activate the methods you have practiced in stillness, you become the architect. The storm is merely a force of nature. Your reaction is the force of will. Thus, you do not control the storm, but you have absolute control over your attention, your breath, and your choice to remain in the eye of awareness. This shift from reaction to response is the essence of inner mastery. Self-growth is not granted. It is earned in the small, unseen moments before the dramatic crisis of 20th of October arrives. It is earned by choosing the quiet 5 minutes of mindful breathing instead of the endless scroll of distraction. It is earned by choosing simplicity over complexity, by choosing honest self-reflection over comfortable delusion. These daily, diligent practices are not abstract philosophy. They are the Vasivar labor of transformation. They are the mortar you use to strengthen the walls of your inner fortress. When the crisis hits, and the prepared person does not panic because they have set integrated the lesson. If I am responsible for my inner state, they understand that external circumstances are neutral. It is their mind that assigns the label of disaster. The architect of their own being chooses to assign the label of us opportunity for deep realization. This is the profound difference. This is the ultimate power of self-reliance. You must stop treating your inner life as a garden you hope someone else will tend. It is your ultimate kingdom, and you are the sole ruler. On 20th of October, the stability of that kingdom will be tested to its core. If you have delegated responsibility for your peace to others, to your work, your relationships, your comfort, you will lose everything in the wind. But if you have been the diligent architect using the tools of stillness and simplicity, you will find that the shaking does not destroy you. It just reveals you. It strips away the superficial layers until only the pure, resilient core of your being remains. Therefore, the call to action is simple and absolute. Commit to the daily practice. Do the work now in the quiet so that when the noise comes, your response is instinctual and strong. Do not wait for the transformation to happen after you. Make it happen through you. This is the final teaching of self-growth. It is your life. But take the reins as you have prepared for the impact. You have embraced the necessity of the internal confrontation. You have used stillness and simplicity to build your shelter. You know that on Assessor's 20th October, the pressure will become unbearable and the soul will be shaken violently. But what happens when the wind dies down? What is the purpose of surviving if you simply try to rebuild the same fragile, vulnerable structure you had before? This brings us to the sixth and perhaps most profound lesson of the silent storms. Thus, silence after the shaking is the new foundation of being, as the true mark of transformation is not in the intensity of the struggle, but in the Zedra's unwavering clarity that emerges from the stillness that follows. When the storm has passed, when the emotional debris and the wreckage of your old identity have been scattered, you will find yourself standing in an enormous, quiet emptiness. This emptiness is not loss, it is Edra's opportunity. It is the clean, unwritten slate where your true life begins. In this silence, you will realize that all the things you panicked about, all the attachments you fought to save were merely external decorations. They were conditional props. The severe shaking on 20th October forced you to distinguish between what is essential and what is merely ornamental. The essential things, your awareness, your capacity for choice, your simple breath remain. The ornamental things, your ego's need for approval, your endless desire for comfort, your rigid expectations of others are gone. And you are, for the first time, profoundly as free as God. This new foundation is built on as non-attachment, having been violently stripped bare by the internal crisis. You understand on a cellular level that anything that can be lost is not worth building your life upon. You learn that pain comes not from loss itself, but from the desperate, anxious clinginess before the loss. The storm teaches you that peace is not found by grasping the external, but by releasing the internal. Data says after the shaking, you can look at possessions, relationships, and achievements with a new, clear-eyed wisdom. And you are all temporary, beautiful expressions, but none are the source of your stability. Your stability is of you. The internal crisis of the 20th of October creates a new relationship with fear. Before the storm, fear was a master that dictated your decisions. It kept you small, confined, and safe in your fragile shell. But when the greatest internal fear, the fear of total loss, The fear of your own self-doubt is actually realized and survived. The grip of fear is broken. You learn that fear is merely a sensation, a signal, not a command. The storm does not eliminate fear. It teaches you how to walk through while maintaining your center. You become courageous not because you stop feeling fear, but because you realize your inner strength is greater than any feeling. This period after the storm is the beginning of us authentic creation. Thus, you are now the master builder. You do not rebuild the old house of anxiety and obligation. You build a structure of His purpose. This is where genuine self-growth begins, not in abstract theory, but in the deliberate, conscious choice to structure your life around your essential truths, those truths that remained standing in the aftermath. Your actions are no longer reactions to external pressures. They are conscious expressions of your quiet, resilient core. Says 20th of October is not an end date. It is the other's reset button for your entire life, violently forcing you to start again, not from a place of ignorance, but from a place of profound, earned wisdom. Embrace the debris, embrace the emptiness, embrace the new foundation.